Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. The Franchise and Concession Review Committee public meeting will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor,
Here.
Office of the Mayor,
Here.
Controller,
Here.
Corporation Counsel,
Here.
Office of Management and Budget,
Here.
President Borough of the Bronx,
Here.
President Borough of Manhattan,
Here.
President Borough of Brooklyn,
Present.
President Borough of Queens,
Here.
President Borough of Staten Island.
Here. Will the clerk please call the first calendar item?
The New York City Department of Parks and Recreation, calendar item number 1. In the matter of the intent to seek Franchise and Concession Review Committee approval to utilize a different procedure pursuant to Section 1-16 of the concession rules of the City of New York, to authorize the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation to enter into a sole source concession agreement with Essential Park Conservancy Incorporated for the operation of souvenir and gift concessions in various locations within Central Park, Manhattan. A proposed resolution was submitted relative thereto, and the resolution is calendared for adoption.
Is there a member who wishes to make a statement or ask a question on this matter? If not, will a member please make a motion to move this item? So will another member please second?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the vote?
Mayor,
Yes.
Office of the Mayor,
Yes.
Controller,
Yes.
Corporation Counsel,
Yes.
Office of Management and Budget,
Yes.
and on behalf of the Borough President, the President Borough of Manhattan,
Yes.
the resolution is adopted.
Will the clerk please call the second calendar item?
The New York City Department of Transportation, calendar item number 2. In the matter of the intent to seek Franchise and Concession Review Committee approval to utilize a different procedure pursuant to Section 1-16 of the concession rules of the City of New York, to authorize the New York City Department of Transportation to negotiate a sole source concession agreement with the Fordham Road District Management Association to provide for the operation, management, and maintenance of a pedestrian plaza located on East Fordham Road, 3rd Avenue, and 189th Street in the Borough of the Bronx. A proposed resolution was submitted relative thereto, and the resolution is calendared for adoption.
Is there a member who wishes to make a statement or ask a question on this matter? If not, will a member please make a motion to move this item? Will another member please second? Second. Will the clerk please take the vote?
Mayor,
Yes.
Office of the Mayor,
Yes.
Controller,
Yes.
Corporation Counsel,
Yes.
Office of Management and Budget,
Yes.
and on behalf of the Borough Presidents, President Borough of the Bronx.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted.
Will the clerk please call the third calendar item?
The New York City Department of Small Business Services, calendar item number 3. In the matter of the intent to seek Franchise and Concession Review Committee approval, authorizing New York City and Company on behalf of the New York City Department of Small Business Services to utilize a different procedure pursuant to Section 1-16 of the concession rules of the City of New York for SBS to enter into a non-exclusive sole source license agreement with Greenlight LLC for the non-exclusive use of city-owned trademarks on merchandise. A proposed resolution was submitted relative thereto, and the resolution is calendared for adoption.
Is there a member who wishes to make a statement or ask a question on this item? If not, will a member please make a motion to move this item? So moved. Will a member please second that motion?
Second.
Will the clerk please take the vote?
Mayor,
Yes.
Office of the Mayor,
Yes.
Controller,
Yes.
Corporation Counsel,
Yes.
Office of Management and Budget,
Yes.
and on behalf of the Borough Presidents, President Borough of Staten Island,
Yes.
the resolution is adopted.
Will the clerk please call the fourth calendar item?
The New York City Department of Parks and Recreation, calendar item number 4. In the matter of the intent to seek Franchise and Concession Review Committee approval to utilize a different procedure pursuant to Section 1-16 of the concession rules of the City of New York, to authorize the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation to negotiate a sole source license agreement with the City of New York on behalf of Kingsborough Community College for the operation and maintenance of a parking lot at Manhattan Beach identified as Block 8760, Lot 485 in the Borough of Brooklyn. A proposed resolution was submitted relative thereto, and the resolution is calendared for adoption.
Is there a member who wishes to make a statement or ask a question in this matter? If not, will a member please make a motion to move this item? So moved. Will another member please second? Second. Will the clerk please take the vote?
Mayor,
Yes.
Office of the Mayor,
Yes.
Controller,
Yes.
Corporation Counsel,
Yes.
Office of Management and Budget,
Yes.
and on behalf of the Borough Presidents, President Borough of Brooklyn,
Yes.
and the resolution is adopted.
Will the clerk please call the fifth calendar item?
The New York City Department of Information Technology and Telecommunications, calendar item number 5, in the matter of the intent to seek Franchise and Concession Review Committee approval of a proposed public communications structure franchise agreement between the City of New York and City Bridge LLC. The proposed franchise agreement authorizes the franchisee to install, operate, and maintain public communication structures on, over, and under the city's inalienable property, which structures will offer free Wi-Fi service as defined in the franchise agreement, and some of which structures will serve as public paid telephones as defined in the franchise agreement. A proposed resolution was submitted relative thereto, and the resolution is calendared for adoption.
Bruce Regal, the Senior Counsel in the Economic Development Division from the New York City Law Department, will read into the record some changes that have been made to the proposed franchise agreement since its distribution to the FCRC.
Let me start first with the changes to the resolution before this committee that were made from the earlier distribution of the resolution. There were 2 changes made. One includes that there is now a reference in the resolution to a memorandum of understanding that has been reached between DeWitt and the 5 borough presidents. There's a specific reference to that in the new resolution. In addition to that, there's a reference to the completion of the environmental review process with respect to this proposal. Now, with respect to the actual agreement that is before the committee for a vote, there are changes in the main body of the agreement, as well as in Appendix SRV and Appendix RDR. I'll start with the changes in Appendix SRV. And by the way, there are changes which I won't mention, which are conforming changes, various changes to fixing typographical errors and section numbers and so on. So I won't go into those. I'm going to describe the most substantive changes in the agreement. In SRV, there are revised numbers in the tables of section 1.2.3 IV through VII. Those new numbers reflect new provision for accelerated installation and technological enhancement of sites in Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, the Bronx, and Northern Manhattan. In section 3.2 Appendix SRV, there is additional reference to community board consultation with respect to certain types of siting decisions. With respect to section 4.2 of SRV, there is new language regarding the decoupling, if you will, of advertising locations that will have advertising panels on them, from locations which will have 1 gigabyte service associated with them, so that those 2 types of categories will not necessarily be linked. Plus, there is new language making the 1 gig technology the presumed technology at each structure, unless the city selects new sites where the 1 gig technology is not feasible. In Appendix RDR of the agreement, in Part 8, there is now a reference to a solar power energy pilot program to be installed on certain facilities in the Bronx. In the main body of the agreement, in sections 232 and 313.3, there is provision to give City Bridge and Transit Wireless an additional 60 days from the commencement date to finalize their agreement, in light of the fact that, as mentioned, Appendix SRV now contemplates certain changes in the geography and technology related to certain locations. Section 4.2 and certain other sections in Appendix SRV and in the main body of the agreement now have specific references to the memorandum of understanding between DeWitt and the borough presidents that I referred to earlier and that is referred to in the resolution. There is also a reference, an added reference in 4.2 to the use of licensed electricians wherever the use of an electrician is required. In section 5.1, there is a reference to City Council authorizing resolution requirements regarding the filing with DUIT of certain zoning information for all sites for locations that will have advertising panels. Section 5.5.2 of the main body of the agreement adds a ban on e-cigarette advertising. That is additional to the existing ban on tobacco ads. And the addition of the ban on e-cigarette ads is pursuant to current city policy. Section 6.3.1 adds a requirement that was reflected in the request for proposal for franchise fee CPI adjustments, consumer price index adjustments. Section 7.3 changes the available investment requirement after year 6 construction is complete. Section 8.5 includes an express reference to City Bridge's job creation projections derived from its proposal. And section 13.6.1 gives the city ownership of all of the structures if the franchise is terminated after a franchise is full. There are, I guess, one additional change in the references to encryption and security technology that will be associated with the provision of Wi-Fi service. There are now expanded references giving the city notice and the ability to receive information from the franchisee regarding ongoing upgrade and maintaining the state of the art with respect to that type of technology. I think that completes the.
Thank you. Is there a member who wishes to make a statement or ask a question on this matter?
I would like to make a statement. Do you have a question?
I have a question. On page 12 of the SRV, I see that there are 400 megabit units in Manhattan, which my understanding was that from our discussions, should that be reflected as 360? Because 40 of those are going to Upper Manhattan?
What happened was 40 more added to the total number.
Oh, okay. Okay. And where is that reflected somewhere in here?
The total numbers for the year four are adjusted up to that 40.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Controller's office.
Thank you. I provide the following statement on behalf of the Controller, Scott Stringer. I want to commend the Mayor on the Link NYC initiative, an innovative plan to provide both free high-speed Wi-Fi and free payphones to New Yorkers. Link NYC has the potential to vastly improve our city's digital landscape, while also setting an example for other cities to follow on how to create a broad, sustainable public Wi-Fi system. While this plan showed a great potential from the outset, the borough presidents and I identified some shortcomings early in the process, most notably around how the faster 1 gigabit kiosk would be distributed around all of our borough's neighborhoods. The digital divide is real in this city, and opportunities to try and close that gap must be seized whenever they arise. This contract is not set to expire until 2026 at the earliest, an eon in technology terms, which makes getting it right today all the more important. The negotiations that have taken place over the last several weeks in close partnership with the borough presidents have made a good plan even better. The contract now will bring greater equity to boroughs outside Manhattan through a more balanced distribution of kiosks with 1 gigabit speeds, enshrine community consultation in the franchise agreement to ensure meaningful input on the siting of kiosks, strengthen language about tech upgrades during the length of the contract to ensure that New Yorkers continually benefit from cutting-edge security and software upgrades, provide for the regular publication of data to ensure accountability, transparency, and performance, and pilot a solar power program to make the system more resilient and sustainable thanks to Bronx Borough President Diaz. As the franchise is implemented, I will continue to exercise my office contract oversight and audit authority to ensure that City Bridge fulfills its promise to the people of the City of New York. Improving our city's internet infrastructure is critical to the future economic growth of neighborhoods throughout the 5 boroughs. As was made clear in the policy brief that my office released last week, internet inequality, broadband access in NYC, millions of New Yorkers currently lack high-speed internet access, an essential tool for improving education, employment, and business opportunities. Link NYC cannot and will not by itself eliminate the digital divide, but today marks an important step forward in bridging that gap. As a result, I am happy to join our friends at City Hall by voting yes on Link NYC. I want to thank the administration and the borough presidents for their diligence and responsiveness in working to make this contract the best that it can be. Thank you.
Thank you. I imagine there may be another member who wishes to make a statement on this matter.
Thank you very much. This has been an interesting and substantive and very team-driven process. I'm going to read a statement on behalf of Borough President Ruben Diaz, reflecting not just the work on behalf of Borough Presidents, but our Borough President Council, the Mayor's Office, Do It, the Law Department. It's been, again, quite a dialogue, and we all believe that because of that dialogue, we are at a much better end result. So on behalf of Borough President Diaz, I submit the following for the record. Throughout this process, my office, my colleagues in the boroughs, and Comptroller Scott Stringer raised serious concerns about the proposed Link NYC Wi-Fi program. We are grateful to this administration, especially Do It, for listening to our concerns and working with our offices to make this project more equitable. Thanks to our advocacy, the city has agreed to expand higher speed Wi-Fi access throughout the 5 boroughs and to implement a 10-kiosk solar pilot program in the Bronx, among other concessions. Specifically, the Bronx will receive an additional 240 1-gigabyte kiosks in the first 4 years of this 8-year franchise agreement. Moreover, by decoupling advertising and the 1-gigabyte speed kiosks, a greater percentage of the total number of Bronx kiosks will now have will now have 1 gig speeds at the end of the 8 years. From the time this was first proposed, my office has been concerned that Link NYC would meet appropriate standards for equity and resilience, and issuing a report outlining those concerns. Our negotiations on this issue have certainly helped create a better system for the entire city. I commend my colleagues for their efforts on this issue. This shows that each of our boroughs, united in the cause, can effect positive change for our constituents. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There are additional statements.
Yes, I offer this statement on behalf of Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. Today's vote is a significant step forward that will help close the digital divide facing New York City. After the mayor announced this initiative, all of the borough presidents and the comptroller worked collaboratively to improve the proposal so that all New Yorkers would have equal access to the internet of the 21st century. Through negotiations with Do It and City Hall, we have reached an agreement that will provide meaningful input into the placement of new public Wi-Fi kiosks. Before approving any sites, borough presidents, council members, community boards, and the public at large will be able to view these proposed locations and provide comments to Do It, which will ensure fair representation and placement of these kiosks. Community input is vital to ensuring that all of our neighborhoods, not just high traffic and high income neighborhoods, are able to share in this exciting and groundbreaking initiative. 30% of households in Brooklyn lack access to broadband internet, including neighborhoods such as Borough Park and Bent and Brownsville. For our city to grow, it is critical that all residents are able to access high-speed internet. As part of this proposal, the city will be receiving much-needed revenue that can be used to fund critical infrastructure improvements to connect unconnected neighborhoods. While we have much more work to do to close the digital divide, this public Wi-Fi program is an ambitious first step in achieving that goal, and I commend working with the other borough presidents' offices and the comptroller and the mayor's office in making this proposal a reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Manhattan.
Manhattan Borough President Brewer has worked for years to increase public access to technology and has been a longtime advocate for public Wi-Fi. She worked hard along with the other 4 borough presidents to improve the program in 2 basic and important respects: bringing more high-speed kiosks to underserved areas throughout the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, and northern Manhattan, and providing for a formal community input process into siting of the kiosks. The borough presidents and community boards will have a process for input into the siting of the initial footprint of sites for Wi-Fi kiosks. While the general rule will be to use the current payphone locations as the basis for the initial rollout of Wi-Fi kiosks, there will be a process for rejection of sites that are problematic for our communities. The borough presidents and community boards will get all the site information that DoIT gets, and DoIT has committed in this MOU to working with us to find alternate sites that meet the standards. On behalf of Borough President Brewer, I'd like to thank the other borough presidents for working so hard and collegially for these important improvements, and thank the administration for working hard on this important program and on addressing our concerns.
Thank you. Borough of Queens.
Okay. I don't have a written statement, like my colleagues, but on behalf of Queens Borough President Melinda Katz, we are proud to be part of this groundbreaking initiative that is going to bring free Wi-Fi to the greatest city in the world in a very, very equitable fashion. Queens is home to 2.8 million people. We have 120 countries represented with 135 languages. This initiative is going to go so far in bridging and the digital divide in the borough and all over the city, and making sure that our communities where people come for their families to start businesses, will be able to have a leg up and will be able to do the things that they want to do by coming to the borough and to the city. This has been an extremely collegial, substantive, productive process between the borough presidents, the controller, and the administration. It is a great example of how government can work together to reach a result for everybody that is the best result. And I have been very proud personally to be part of it, and on behalf of the borough president, I know she is too, so I want to thank my colleagues, and thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you. Any further statements? All right. Will a member please make a motion to move this item? Will the clerk please take the vote?
Mayor.
At last, yes.
Office of the Mayor, yes. Controller.
Yes.
Corporation Counsel. Office of Management and Budget.
Yes.
And on behalf of the Borough Presidents, President Borough of the Bronx.
Yes.
Calendar item number 5, the resolution is adopted. We ask that the reporter make the entire public meeting agenda, which was made publicly available and distributed at this meeting, part of the final record of this proceeding. And that completes the calendar.
Thank you to all members of the committee, to our agencies and staff. This meeting is adjourned.